musicians, so today we're going to talk about intervals, but in a slightly different way. So the other day we talked about just a basic interval. What's the distance between one note and the next? So the difference between a C and a D is what we call a second. A C, D, and an E is a third. Or a D to an E is a second, or DE to some sort of F is a third. Now, we're only talking about basic intervals. Now we're going to talk about what we call the quality of the interval. And quality is measured in the terms, and we use these terms, major, minor, diminished, augmented, and perfect. Okay, there's a couple others, but those are our 5 basic intervals that we'll deal with today. So, a major interval, we'll start with that first. We're going to always think about the interval, that the lowest note, that's what we're going from. That lowest note is our first note of our scale. Whatever that note is, that's the first note of that scale. So that lowest note is a C, it's a C scale. If that lowest note is an F, it's an F scale. We got to be aware of the flat, okay? If it's the B flat, then the B flat is the first note, and we got to be aware of the B flat and E flat. If it's a D, okay, the D is the first note of the scale, but then we got to be wary of the F sharp and the C sharp, because those notes are, and then plus all the naturals, those notes are very important as far when we start determining the quality of the interval. So let's just take, okay, major, okay, major and minor. Major and minor are determined by seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths, and then some extensions, okay, like ninths, and we can go on and on and on. But right now we're just going to talk about second, third, sixth, and sevenths, okay? So that means those are the only intervals that can be determined with major and minor, okay? So in other words, a major second, a major third, a minor second, a minor third, same with sixth and seventh. Now, how do you determine that? If we're starting in the first note of the scale, so let's just say we're in the key of F, okay, and I go up 3 notes, F, G, A in the scale, that's called a major third. Now, another way of looking at it is it's 2 whole steps, okay? F to G, G is the second note of the scale, that's 1 whole step, all right? So 1 whole step is a major second, 2 whole steps is a major third, all right? Or the third note of the major scale. Now let's go up to the sixth. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, okay? F to D in the key of F is what we call a major sixth. F to E, which is in the scale, in the key of F, is a major seventh, right? Now, what if it's F to, instead of A, it's F to A flat? Well, here I have my F to my A, right? So if I go F to A flat, okay, lowering this major third down a half step, so it's a whole step and a half step, we call that a minor third, okay? If I go from F to a double flat, because I can lower it again, remember we can have double flats, that's what we call a diminished third. So it goes major, lowered a half step is minor, lowered another half step is diminished. Now, I'm talking about the note name, F to A, F, G, A, some sort of A, even if it's A flat, A double flat, A sharp, A double sharp, it's some sort of A. So that means it's a third, some sort of third, okay? So in this case, F to A flat is what we call a minor third. If I lowered it again to F A double flat, then we call that a diminished third, okay? Well, what if I raise it to F to A sharp? Again, I'm going F, G, A, it's a third. Now, I can start thinking about that as in terms of an augmented interval, all right? F, G, A sharp is an augmented third, okay? Now, if I say F to B flat, which is the same note as F sharp, that's not a third. F, G, A, B flat. Now it has the same sound, but it's not what we call this. We don't determine it as a third. We determine that as a fourth, okay? So this works for all seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths, okay? So F to D, okay, that's a major sixth. F to D flat, it's a minor sixth, okay? F to D sharp is an augmented sixth, okay? Understanding here? Okay, getting it? All right, what about the fourth and the fifth and the first and then the octave, okay? Well, they don't have majors and minors. So if somebody walked up to you and said, hey, what's a major fourth above F? You'll go, I don't know, because there's no such thing, okay? Same thing with minor fourth. There's no such thing. We take the major and the minor and we combine them together and we call that a perfect interval, okay? So F to B flat. So it's 2 whole steps and a half step. Remember, it's the first note and the fourth note, first and fourth note of the tetrachord in the key of F, okay, or whatever major scale you're in. That interval is called a perfect fourth. Now, if I take this B flat and I lower it a half step to B double flat, okay, then it doesn't go to minor. It actually goes from perfect to diminished. Then F to B natural then goes from perfect to augmented. So perfect takes the place of the major and minor combined together. Okay, so that's the fourth and the fifth. Now, F to F sharp. F to F sharp, it's a 1, right? So that's what we call an augmented 1. F to F, is that an interval? Well, it's not really an interval because it's the same note, but they'll call it a perfect 1. Okay, it's a perfect 1. What about low F to the octave higher F? Well, that's what we call the perfect octave or the perfect eighth. Okay, and then you can have diminished. Okay, F to F flat, high F flat, or F to F sharp, high F sharp. Those are diminished and augmented. Okay, so just let's recap this. Okay, if I'm at first and my third note, we call this major. All right, for in the key, whatever key you're in. So say this in the key of C, C, D to an E. That's why it's important to know your scales. All right. What about C, D to E flat? Well, that minor third then that's called a minor interval. Okay. What about C, D to E double flat? Okay, well then that's a diminished third. What about C, D to E sharp? We call that an augmented third. So a flat, so a 3, 1 to 3 is a major, flat 3 minor, doubly flat third is diminished, okay? Sharp third is augmented. Now, fourth and fifth. If I go root to the fifth note of the scale, okay, that is what we call a perfect fifth, okay? The flat fifth is what we call a diminished fifth, okay? And then the sharp 5 is what we call an augmented fifth, all right? So you need to know all these different intervals. These are the qualities of them. It's still first note to the upper note, C, D, E, F, some sort of G is still a 5, whether it's a G, G flat, or G sharp. The note name itself determines what the interval is. The key, okay, or the flatness or the sharpness of that interval determines the quality of it, okay? I think that's about it, okay? Now, there are some outliers. There's doubly diminished and there's doubly augmented, okay? What if it's F to B sharp? Well, if F to B is an augmented fourth, then F to B sharp is what we call a doubly augmented fourth, okay? Now, theoretically, there's triply augmented and quadruply augmented. I mean, they're theoretically, right? But you'll rarely see them. But you need to know they're out there because sometimes they do happen, okay? All right, hopefully this is helpful. If not, rewind and watch this again, okay? Again, you have 2 things to look for. Note names tells me what type of interval, and then whether it's in the key or not tells me the quality of it, okay? And we call that, just one last thing, we call being in the key, we call that diatonic. If it's outside the key, we call that non-diatonic. So diatonic means in the key of, non-diatonic means just outside the key. So F to B flat is diatonic. F to B natural, because B natural is not in the key of F, that's non-diatonic, okay? All right, I know this is a little bit longer video, but you can hold on to this, all right? This is important because this is going to stack on to all the other things that we're going to talk about. So if you need to watch this again, watch it again, all right? All right, take care, musicians, and we'll talk to you later.